with a broken arm. This happened because the defendant failed to take a few extra steps at securing his property. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jeff Felby, and along with my partner, Ms. Kristen O'Keefe, we represent Ms. Daly. We have brought a claim for negligence against the defendant. We are going to prove to you today that the defendant had a responsibility and that he failed this responsibility through two principal points. The first point: the defendant's store was open to the public. And point number two, or second point, the defendant did not have adequate security. Now to that first point, that the defendant's store was open to the public. Ms. Bobby Daly is here today. And she's going to take the stand and tell you all about the game Chasing. How her and her friends were playing it, talk to you about how popular it was, how excited she was to play it, and how when she arrived at the defendant's property on June 6, 2015, she saw an advertisement right on the wall. This advertisement indicated to her that she could play this game Chasing, and that she could catch rare monsters. And that if she caught a rare monster, she could get a free order at Scooters. What you will learn from Ms. Daly is that this game Chasing, it can't be played from your home, from your school. Well, it can be, but in order to be successful in the game, in order to catch the rarest of monsters, you have to get out in your community. You have to move around and go places. These places are called chase places. As indicated on the advertisement, the defendant was advertising his place as a chase place, a place where gamers, these young people playing this game, could catch the most rare monsters. You're also going to hear from Ms. Daly that when she arrived at Scooters, there were approximately 100 people inside the building, many of which had their faces in their phones, texting away, playing the game. You're going to learn that around 10 p.m., Ms. Daly was asked to leave by the one employee working at Scooters that night. And when she was asked to leave, she was asked to go to the parking lot. When Ms. Daly went out to the parking lot, she exited the building with her friends and all the other customers that were there that night. So a bunch of kids went out in the parking lot and they kept playing Chasing. After some time had passed, you will learn from Ms. Daly that she was then asked to go stand on the sidewalk, where she went, followed that command, and began playing and kept playing Chasing. It was around 10:45 that somebody came up from behind her and assaulted her, blindsiding her from behind, leaving her unconscious and in the hospital for days. Which takes us to our second point, ladies and gentlemen, that the defendant's store did not have adequate security. Ms. Bryce Summerstein is going to take the stand today. Ms. Summerstein is an expert in this trial, and she's an expert in security, specifically. Ms. Summerstein was a police officer right here in Steelton for more than 15 years. She's been involved in security and now runs her own firm. Ms. Summerstein is going to tell you about some of the measures that the defendant took to secure the property. But most importantly, she's going to talk about all the things that the defendant failed to do that led to the attack of Ms. Daly. Specifically, she's going to talk to you about cameras and staff. Now, that first thing that she's going to talk to you about, cameras. You're going to learn from Ms. Summerstein that Mr. Simon, the owner of Scooters, had put some cameras up on the side of his property. What you will learn is that these cameras are supposed to serve a deterrent effect, in that if you see the cameras and you think you're being recorded, you're less likely to commit the crime. You will learn that where Miss Daly was at the time of the attack, the cameras were not viewable. You could not see the lenses of those cameras from where Miss Daly was standing. Ms. Summerstein is going to explain that that eliminates the deterrent effect of those cameras, their entire purpose. Next, Ms. Summerstein is going to talk to you about the staff at Scooters on the night in question. You will learn today that on June 6, 2015, Scooter Simon only had one person working at Scooters. One employee working. With over 100 customers, all playing this game, all by herself. She had to clean the place, she had to shut it down, and tell people to leave. This one employee was a was a minor at the time, was a foreign exchange student from Russia. Her primary language was not English. Left there all alone to direct all these people to leave. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout trial today, you will not hear any evidence. You will hear a lot of evidence. You will hear it from a lot of people. But one thing you will not hear is that Miss Daly was ever asked to leave the property. You will also hear that at no point does the game chase 'em turn off. And at all times, the game chase 'em that the defendant advertised could be played on his property. And that where Miss Daly was standing when she was assaulted, she was still playing this game. She was still playing chase 'em, and she was assaulted. At the end of trial, my partner, Ms. O'Keefe, is going to come up here and remind you of these points and go through all the evidence that came in today. She's going to remind you of those expectations that Miss Daly had, her future that was taken from her, and her plans that were put to the back burner because of a vicious assault that she sustained on the defendant's property, all because he couldn't take a few extra steps. We will ask that you find the defendant liable for negligence.
Will you be closing now at the opening of your case? Opening now at the beginning of your case.
Opening now.
Your Honor, the plaintiff calls Ms. Bobby Daly to the stand.
Daly? That's being served in the jury box, exactly.
Good morning, Ms. Daly. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Bobby Daly.
Where are you from, Ms. Daly?
I'm from Steelton.
And how long have you lived here?
My entire life.
How old are you right now?
I'm 19 right now.
What kind of schooling do you have?
I graduated from high school. That's the high schooling I have.
No college?
No, I wanted to go to college, but I wasn't able to after what happened to me on June 6, 2015.
Ms. Daly, what happened to you briefly on June 6, 2015?
Well, I was hanging out at Scooters, and all of a sudden I was blindsided from behind, and I suffered some vicious injuries. As a result, I haven't been able to go ahead to college.
Objection, Your Honor. The move to strike may be heard.
You may.
Assuming we're outside the presence of the jury, the defense would like to strike the adjective vicious. We're here today for a bifurcated trial where we can establish injury, but to use such words as vicious would only inflame the passions of the jury.
Overruled.
Ms. Daly, you said you were viciously attacked on the defendant's property. Now, I want to go into the background of what happened to you on June 6th before we go into more detail to that. How old were you at the time of this attack?
I was 18 when I was attacked.
And when did you graduate high school?
I graduated just before the attack that June.
How did your day start?
It was a pretty normal summer day. I had gone to one of my friend's brother's baseball games and, went to get ice cream after the game, and we went to Scooters. And everything was, fine and normal until the attack that happened.
Okay. Around what time did you arrive at Scooters?
We got to Scooters around 8 p.m. that night.
And what were some of your observations when you arrived to Scooters?
As soon as I walked in, there was lots of people there, and they were all on their phone. And there was also an ad in the restaurant that said there was a chase play, so I said everyone was, playing a chasing game. That was really popular.
Okay. And you just testified about there being a lot of people there and this advertisement. I want to break those two up. How many people were at Scooters when you arrived?
There was a lot. I would say about 100 people over there.
And you said that they were on their phones. What were they doing on their phones?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
What are we going to hear from the witness?
Your Honor, assuming we're outside the presence of the jury, if you want to testify, the witness will state that many of them were playing the game Chase 'Em. She just testified that she came in, saw all these people on their phones, the advertisement, which we're about to admit, suggests that everybody was able to play, and many of these people were playing this game.
Did you see them playing the game?
Yes, she did.
I'll let her answer. She knows. Overruled.
Ms. Daly, who were you with when you arrived at Scooters?
I was with a couple of my friends.
And you said that you were with your friends, and you said that you saw a lot of people on their phones playing.
Correct.
And you saw the ad.
Yes.
How many of those people, roughly, would you say were playing the game?
I would say most of them were playing the chasing game.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation move to strike may be heard.
Yes?
You told my brother counsel that they needed to lay the foundation that this witness specifically saw these people on their phones playing
Excuse
the
me,
game.
Your Honor. May we have this conversation at sidebar?
I just said outside the presence of the jury, but if we can go outside, that'd be fine.
Go ahead.
Your ruling laid for my brother counsel to lay a foundation that this witness specifically saw these people's phones and that she actually saw them playing. Her answer was just, I believe that most of them were playing. There has been no foundation laid that this witness physically saw these people's phones, as you asked.
It's probably true. I'm not sure that I care, but it's probably true. So I'll sustain the objection as to what most of them were doing.
Miss Daly, what were you and your friends doing once you arrived at Scooters?
My friends and I all started playing a chasing game.
And you said that you saw an ad. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Showing witness on the pre-marked stack 52. Miss Daly, what did I just hand you?
This is the ad that I saw at Scooters on June 6, 2015.
Your Honor, we move what has been pre-marked as stack 52 into evidence as trial exhibit 2. It's been stipulated by the parties to be outside.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Trial Exhibit 2.
I would just like to make the court aware that this exhibit is not on stack 52 anymore. It's now on stack 42, just so that we're clear for the record.
But it's an advertisement, right?
Yes. That was an oval.
Okay.
Just for clarity.
Yes. That's fine. Your Honor, may we publish copies of trial exhibit 2 to the jury?
Do you have copies of it?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may give them to the jury.
drawing the jury's attention to the advertisement. Ms. Daly, what about this advertisement suggested to you that you could play chasing at Scooter's restaurant?
Well, I read the advertisement and it says, you chase the monsters, we got them. Scooters is now a chase place.
Okay, now, Ms. Daly, what is, to your knowledge, what is a chase place?
A chase place is basically certain locations, like businesses, for example, that you can go to and catch rare monsters at those locations.
And why would you want to catch a rare monster?
Well, it's, the fun part of the game. There's a lot of monsters, but catching the rare ones is obviously, the whole point.
And what on that ad suggests a time where you have to stop playing chasing at Scooters?
Nothing on this ad has any mention of any time to stop playing the game.
Ms. Daly, I'd like to draw your attention to the last line on the ad about free ice cream. Could you please explain to the jury what that sentence meant to you?
So I read it says, catch a rare chase monster, your order is free. It just means, if I catch a monster, I get a free ice cream.
Ms. Daly, is there anything in that sentence to suggest that you can't wait until the next day to come get that free ice cream?
No, there's nothing here suggesting anything to that.
May I retrieve the document, Your Honor?
You may.
So, Ms. Daly, after you saw the advertisement, what did you do?
Saw the ad and saw everyone else playing the game, and I started playing myself.
Objection, Your Honor. I move to strike this member outside the presence of the jury. You did sustain that this witness should not say that everyone else was playing the game, without the foundation that she saw their phones.
Fair enough. That part of the answer will be stricken. What she used on will stay in the record.
Ms. Daly, what did you and your friends do after you saw the advertisement?
My friends and I were playing the chasing game.
And how long did you play the chasing game?
We played until we played all night really until I was attacked. But at some point we were told to leave.
Around what time were you told to leave?
We were told to leave Scooters at 10 p.m.
And where were you told to go?
We were told to leave Scooters and to go to the parking lot.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
Yes?
Showing witness the diagram. I don't know if I have Ms. Daly, what did I just hand you?
This is a diagram of Scooters in the surrounding area.
Your Honor, we move what has been pre-marked as stack 52 into evidence as trial exhibit 3.
Well, I don't care what it's pre-marked as. What is it?
It's a diagram of the defendant's property.
Okay.
It's been stipulated.
I'm familiar with the diagram. Any objection to this coming in?
No objection, Your Honor.
It's in this trial exhibit 3.
Your Honor, may we now set up a demonstrative of trial exhibit 3 to aid in the witness's testimony?
So you have something separate from the piece of paper.
It's the same exact thing, Your Honor, just a blow up.
Perfect.
Your Honor, permission to reposition myself?
Anywhere you like, except in contact with the jury.
Your Honor, may I retrieve the document and just allow the witness to step down?
She's going to use the enlargement.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's fine.
So if you would stand right here. Ms. Daly, you said that around 10 p.m. you were inside Scooters. Could you indicate with your, I'm sorry, you got Scooters at 8 p.m. Could you indicate inside Scooters that within 8 p.m. where you were?
Yes.
And at this point, you were able to play the game Chasing, correct?
Correct.
Now, could you take this blue marker and just draw a check mark to indicate that you were able to play Chasing right there? And then you said at 10 p.m. you were asked to leave and go to the parking lot. Whereabouts did you go?
My
Can
friends
you
and
just
I.
point this?
Yeah, my friends and I are right here in the parking lot.
Around what time was this?
It was after 8 p.m. After 10 p.m.
Okay, could you please draw 10 p.m. in the parking lot where you were playing the game? Ms. Daly, were you able to play chase them in the parking lot at this time after hours?
Yeah, the game was after the parking lot.
Could you please check with the blue marker that you were able to play the game chase them? Then Ms. Daly, you said you were playing chase them out here in the parking lot. What happened next?
We were playing the parking lot, and at some point, that seems late from earlier, came outside and told us to leave the parking lot and go to the sidewalk.
Where did you go on the sidewalk? She asked you to go there.
We walked out from the parking lot, and I stood right there where the X was marked.
Could you please circle with a red marker where you were standing?
Right here.
And around what time was that, Ms. Daly?
It was at some point, 10:45 p.m.
Could you please draw 10:45 p.m. if you're there? When you were there with the red? All right, Ms. Daly, now it's 10:45 p.m. and you're standing right here as you indicated. What are you doing there?
We're still playing the game, still active there.
And who are you with?
Myself and my friends.
Ms. Daly, could you please use the blue marker to indicate that you were still able to play the game chase them, as you just indicated? Ms. Daly, you can take a seat. Ms. Daly, you said you were playing chase them on the defendant's property at 10:45. What happened next?
My friends and I were playing the game, and at some point, I was told that people were coming.
And then what happened?
And right after that, I was hit in the head and I woke up in the hospital days later.
Ms. Daly, how quickly after your friends spoke to you were you hit?
It was very quickly. I had no time to react.
Ms. Daly, could you please explain to the jury what happened to you, specifically injuries?
Objection, Your Honor. May be heard outside the presence of the jury.
Debate.
This is a bifurcated trial here today, and we have already established the element of injury. To go any further into these injuries would inflame the passions of the jury. And it would be too prejudicial before today's court, as this is a bifurcated trial.
What do we expect to hear from the witness regarding injuries?
Assuming we're outside the presence of the jury, if allowed to testify, the witness will state that she was knocked unconscious, was unconscious for several days in the hospital, woke up with a compound fractured arm, and she has since developed anxiety disorders as a result of this accident. Your Honor, we plan to elicit no testimony as to any dollar figures, amounts, medical bills, anything of that nature. We strictly are providing this testimony to the jury to check off the fourth element of negligence, which is damages we have to prove today.
Okay, I will allow everything except the anxiety disorder. I'm uncomfortable with that. But the results of the attack, I think you're entitled to establish injury using the results of the attack. And I don't think that's going to be overly prejudicial. When we talk about overly prejudicial, we're talking about facts or narratives that will be so distracting that they won't be able to focus on the important elements of the story. I'm not quite sure that rises to that level.
Your Honor, if I may be heard?
Yeah?
We've already had an opportunity in this examination to establish the fact of injury, and to go any more into the specific injuries would be prejudicial. The level of injury is something that we're not needing to discuss today, only the mere fact that injuries did occur, which has been established.
The impact of injury we are not exploring here today. The level of injury is absolutely pertinent. Impact of injury and cost of injury we will not explore in trial because it's bifurcated. The fact of injury is fair game for the plaintiff.
Your Honor, may I be heard one last?
No, you won already. Stop talking.
Just in regards to that anxiety disorder issue, Your Honor.
Yes.
The plaintiff, allowed to testify, will explain that she was diagnosed and is now prescribed medication as a result of the injury sustained on the property. This goes to the injury.
Outside of her expertise. You bring a doctor in that says that that was tied to the injury, I'll listen to it, but I'm not going to hear it from her.
Your Honor. Ms. Daly, could you please explain to the jury the injuries that you sustained as a result of the attack on June 6, 2015 on the defendant's property?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk to you. It was obviously a horrible day for me. I was blindsided with the back of the head, and I suffered a compound fracture. My bone was sticking out of my arm. I was unconscious for several days in the hospital, where I later woke up. That's been pretty tough.
Ms. Daly, what are you doing now, professionally, academically?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
Overruled.
Well, I wasn't able to go to college because of what happened to me on June 6th and because of these injuries. So I'm living at home and do the best I can.
Objection, Your Honor. Move to strike. I would renew my relevance objection.
Well, relevance is the wrong objection. I said we weren't going to hear impact statements. She is living at home because she was attacked is an impact statement. And so I will strike that and give a curative instruction to the jury and remind you when I say I don't want to hear impact statements, what I mean by that is I don't want to hear impact statements.
Ms. Daly, at any point on June 6, 2015, were you asked by a Scooters employee to leave the property?
No, she came out and told us to go to the parking lot, the sidewalk, but never to leave the property.
Ms. Daly, were you ever, on June 6th, asked by the employee at the defendant's property to stop playing Jason?
No, we were never asked to stop playing the game.
And at all times while you were at the defendant's property, were you able to play the game Jason?
Yeah, the game was always active on the parking lot, on the sidewalk. Kept on playing the game.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I was just asked to reposition myself.
I'm not going to use this just yet. I'm just getting set up, but
I'll stay seated for now.
Me too.
morning, Ms. Simon.
Good afternoon.
Whatever. Ms. Simon, you're the owner of Scooters Ice Cream Parlor, isn't that right?
Yes, I am.
You founded it
I did.
about 5 years ago, a little more.
Yeah, I opened it 5 years ago.
You're responsible for any kind of discounts you may provide.
Yeah, I do the promotions, the hiring, things that any owner would do.
You take on the responsibility of being the owner, isn't that right?
Yes,
And you're familiar with the game Chase, isn't that right?
I am. Yes,
And because you're a gamer yourself, isn't that true?
I used to be for sure. Yes.
And you still are.
I
as you
still love
characterize.
video games. Yeah.
Okay. And you began running, as you said, some promotions, some discount sales when business was struggling, isn't that right?
Yeah. As any business owner may do, I wanted to get customers in the door.
Of course. And nothing was working for you at this time period, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
Overruled.
Ms. Daly, you said that you had been doing some discount sales, some promotions, and I was just wanting to know that, clarify that none of these were working, none of them were creating an influx in business. Isn't that true?
Business was a little slow, but I wouldn't say that they weren't working entirely.
Okay, but none of them worked quite like the advertisement for Chasen, did they?
The advertisement for Jason was a big hit. Yes.
You began posting advertisements for Chasen in the spring when Miss Daly was assaulted on her property, isn't that right?
I don't remember exactly when I started posting them, but I did post a few. Yes.
It was actually a few weeks before, about almost 2 months before the attack, isn't that true?
I believe so. Yes.
And you were familiar with the popularity of this game, isn't that right?
Yeah, I knew it was a very popular game, especially that summer.
And you advertised with the expectation that gamers would come play on your property, isn't that true?
Yes, I wanted people to come in and be customers during business hours and even play Jason while they were there.
And people came to your property as a result, didn't they?
They did.
A lot of these gamers came, isn't that true?
Yeah, it definitely drew crowds of people who love chasing.
A lot of young people specifically, isn't that right?
I couldn't say for sure the age range of everyone.
Ms. Daly, you saw an influx in business and profits as a result of this advertisement.
I can't say for sure if I did see an increase in profits at that time.
Is your testimony today that you did not see an increase in profits?
There was an influx of customers for sure, but I don't look at my accounting books every day. I can't tell you where the numbers are at this very point in time.
Come over here, Robert. You gave a deposition prior to this trial, isn't that right,
Yes, I
Ms.
did.
Simon? You swore to tell the truth,
I did.
and you signed this deposition
Yes.
transcript,
Yes.
swearing that you told the truth?
Yes.
I'd like to draw your attention to your deposition transcript,
Okay.
page 26, line 15. I'm going to read this aloud. I'd like you to read along silently, okay?
Yep.
In reference to the advertisement, how did this affect your business?
Mhm.
Answer: more people came and profits went up. Did I read that correctly, Ms. Simon?
Yes, you did.
So your profits did go up as a result.
They did. I'm sorry. It was a few years ago. I kind of forgot about that time.
Ms. Simon, I'd like to now talk to you about your property and the maintenance thereof. You're on permission to set up a demonstrative of Exhibit 3, the diagram of witness property.
The one we've seen, yes.
Yes.
Right. Mhm.
Permission to move, Your Honor.
Absolutely.
You see that, Ms. Daly?
Yes, I can. My name's Miss Simon.
Ms. Simon? Okay. Now, Ms. Simon, you've implemented, this is your property, correct?
Yes, it is.
At least a
Parts of it,
diagram?
at least.
And a diagram thereof?
Sure, yeah.
And this diagram indicates some of the measures of security that you've taken, isn't that true?
Yeah, roughly draws them out.
Okay. So as we can see and we've heard today, you have cameras set up right here on the west side of your building,
Yes.
and these cameras are facing the parking lot, correct?
Yeah, they cover the entire parking lot as well.
Okay. And how about these lights right here? These are the 6 of them that you had
Six
implemented?
lights in my parking lot.
Okay. Ms. Daly, this line indicates your property line, correct?
Yes.
Are there any fences right here?
No, there are not.
How about over here?
No fences there either.
What about up here?
No, none there either.
And there's no other barricades indicating that you can't come through here?
No, it's not a prison, it's an ice cream shop.
That's fine, Ms. Simon, but there are no
No,
other
there are no other barriers.
blockades?
Mhm.
Ms. Simon, do you display a no trespassing sign on the front of your building?
No, most ice cream stores and most stores in general have business hours that you expect people to abide by.
So to answer my question,
No, I don't have a no trespassing sign.
okay, and you don't have a no trespassing sign on any side of your
I
building?
just told you I didn't have one. It wouldn't be hiding.
That's fine, Ms. Simon. I just want the jury to understand
Sure,
clearly
yeah, no trespassing
why we're
signs.
here today and what the steps you've taken.
Mhm.
Ms. Simon, you don't display the hours of your store anywhere on your property, do you?
No, I don't.
So somebody passing by couldn't come up to the door and see 10 p.m. close?
No, I'm a neighborhood business, so I'm also an ice cream store. We're not exactly a late night establishment.
Well, you were open until 10 o'clock on the night in question, correct? And people were still on their property almost 11 p.m.,
Yeah,
correct?
and they shouldn't have been.
Okay. But they were still there.
Yes.
And you weren't there, were you?
No, I wasn't working at the store that day.
Okay. We're going to get into that in a second. Ms. Daly, Ms. Simon, there's no other barricade or building blocking the crossing through this
I've
parking lot.
already told you I don't have any fences or barricades or barriers.
Okay. I just want to make sure, that's all.
Okay.
Set this down. Ms. Simon, as you just told us, you weren't there the night that Miss Daly was attacked, right?
No, I was not at the store, no.
But you've been here in trial with us today,
I
isn't that
have
true?
been.
And you are aware that there was about 100 people in your store the night Miss Daly was attacked, right?
Yes, I heard that.
And this, as you said, was a result of this advertisement that you put out.
Yeah, successful business advertising.
Ms. Daly, may I approach the witness, Your Honor, with Exhibit 2, the advertisement?
Yes.
This advertisement was on your wall, isn't that right?
Yes.
This advertisement was put in the local paper, isn't that right?
I believe so, yes.
And nowhere on this well, let's talk about the content of this advertisement. First of all, you advertise that you have chasing monsters, isn't that true?
Yes.
And this was the game that you knew to be popular with young people at this time?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered. This line of questioning we've had before.
And Ms. Simon, at the end of this advertisement, you state specifically that if you catch a rare monster, your order is free, correct? And nowhere on this advertisement does it say when you can come pick up that free order.
No, I mean, it's common sense that you could only pick it up when we were serving ice cream, which is only during business hours.
That's absolutely right. So say if I caught a rare monster passing your property, I can come in the next day, show them that I caught it in your chase place and get a free ice cream.
I'm not entirely sure how the timing would work, but yes, it can be redeemed during business hours.
Ms. Simon, nowhere on this advertisement does it say anything about a closing time, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And nowhere on this advertisement does it suggest when you're supposed to stop playing Chasin'?
Well, I'm not in charge of Chasin', so I can't tell people when to stop playing it.
But you took control of Chasin' when you began advertising the game, correct?
I would say I didn't take control of Chasin', I simply used it as an advertising mechanism.
Okay. Ms. Simon, on June 6, 2015, you had one employee working.
Yes, I did.
And as we've already established, there were over 100 customers, right?
Yeah,
And she was all alone there,
she was that night.
and you weren't there.
No, I wasn't, like I said.
You left a 17-year-old, correct?
Yes, she's perfectly capable as an employee.
Is your testimony today that she's perfectly capable?
I may have used the wrong word. She is a good enough employee as she works for me now. Or to work for me then.
Ms. Simon, Ms. Fultonova, this employee that you had working that night, was a minor, isn't that true?
She was 17, yes.
She was a 17-year-old minor responsible for closing your place of business down, correct? Because you weren't there, right?
Correct.
And she doesn't, English is not her primary language, is it?
No, but as I stated on direct, she spoke good enough English to be an employee.
Ms. Simon, oh, Christ, sorry. Ms. Simon, you've been here throughout trial today, correct?
Yep.
At no point have you heard anything to suggest that Ms. Daly was ever asked to leave your property, have you?
I heard that she was asked to leave the building and then to leave the parking lot.
And she was never asked to stop playing the game Chasin' by your employee who you suggested.
That's what I heard, but again, we don't control Chasin', so we can't tell people when to stop playing.
You just advertised it, correct?
Yeah, that's...
No further questions.
Objection, Your Honor. I would ask the witness be allowed to finish her answer.
It's
Was there more to the answer?
She was still speaking when my brother counsel rudely interrupted her.
sorry. My answer was how I wanted to be.
Thought her answer was yes.
It was, Your Honor.
She was just still speaking. I'm unaware of what she was going to say.
Did you have more to say?
No. I did, but I don't want to say it. It's not going to help.